Hi, my name is Maggie Dakiba, and I'm a product manager on the Microsoft Intune team. I'm focused on Windows Autopilot scenarios, Windows onboarding, and end-user experiences.
And hi, my name is Danny Guillory. I'm a product manager on the Microsoft Intune team, and I'm focused on helping customers move from SCCM to Intune and be cloud native.
Today, we're going to focus on what's new in Intune for Windows management in the past few months, and we're going to dive deeper on a few topics, including Windows Autopilot and application management. So we like to kick off every Windows management session by emphasizing the importance of going cloud native. Cloud native is where all our active investments are focused. It is where trusted control lives, and it is what will unlock the value of Copilot and AI for your organizations. Using Entra in combination with Intune, you can take advantage of one security and management model across all of your platforms. Entra ID takes care of verifying the user, Intune verifies the device, and together access decisions can happen continuously. Now, how should you approach the transition to cloud native? The goal is to move all workloads and all your endpoints to the cloud ultimately. But we view this as a journey where you can start adding cloud value gradually in three different ways, which you can adopt in parallel to accelerate the transformation rather than waiting for one to complete before starting the next. First, you can start moving all of your workloads to the cloud by switching all of your on-prem workloads to Intune. Second, you can enroll existing devices into co-management and hybrid Entra ID join to bring cloud value to those devices immediately without requiring a reset, which can be disrupting for your users. And then third, you can provision new devices as cloud native Entra join devices using Windows Autopilot. The secure identity, device compliance, and modern management we're establishing across all of these three paths create the prerequisites that ultimately lead to a seamless AI integration. Let's take a look at key features we released in the past few months. This list focuses on Windows core features and is not inclusive of all of the suite and Copilot value that we have delivered as well. Those will be covered in separate sessions where you can dive deeper for each of those areas. There are a few things I'd like to call out explicitly. In October, we delivered the enrollment time grouping failures report. The report shows failures which include devices that fail to become a member of the specified static device group during one of the various provisioning methods. This helps troubleshoot Windows Autopilot device preparation enrollments, as well as various corporate Android enrollment flows. Next, Microsoft Intune now supports policy management for Microsoft Edge for Business as a secure enterprise browser. By implementing your policies through Intune, admins can confidently transition from Windows-based desktop environments to secure browser-based workflows to access corporate resources without requiring the full MDM enrollment for the device. Windows Backup for Organizations enables backing up of Windows settings from a user's device and restoring them on a Microsoft Entra joined device. Customers can ensure user data and settings are recoverable, which is critical for device replacement, break-fix scenarios, and for overall business continuity. Since January, we've announced the general availability for quality updates during UBI, which ensures your devices can receive the latest security updates during initial provisioning. And that same month, we released script installer support for apps, which enables richer setup workflows, allows you to set up prerequisite checks, configuration changes, and post-install actions. And lastly, I wanted to highlight admin tasks in Intune. Admin tasks is currently generally available, and it provides a centralized, prioritized, single pane of glass experience that brings together your key operational actions. So admins no longer have to navigate across different blades to know what they need to follow up on. Now I'd like to dive deeper on Windows Autopilot recent announcements and investments. Starting with two new capabilities which address key customer asks: Windows Backup for Organizations and Windows Quality Updates during UBI. With Backup for Organizations, we restore user settings from your previous devices. This is incredibly powerful for device replacement and break fix scenarios, as it saves time for the user and enables them to be productive sooner. You can configure this by first enabling backup for devices via the policy available in Settings Catalog. And next, you can enable the UBI experience by configuring the tenant-wide enrollment setting to show the restore page you see on the right. The other new addition to the UBI provisioning flow is the support for quality updates during UBI, which was a popular customer ask as well. It is configurable as part of the enrollment status page, and it allows you to keep devices secure by applying the quality updates for your organization's policy during the Autopilot provisioning. This removes the need to prepare or image devices in advance. Now, I'd like to dive a bit deeper here on a few key things you need to know about deploying the new quality updates during UBI. First, the new enrollment status page setting allows you to choose whether updates will be offered. When it's enabled, your Windows Update for Business policies apply before the actual quality update is applied. That way, we make sure that we honor the organizational policies. Next, the new UBI updates page will show up after the device enrollment status page completes. What that means is that quality updates actually happen outside of the enrollment status page, so there might be an additional reboot as a result of that. And it also means that any quality update failures, if they do happen, will not impact the Autopilot process, since the Autopilot configuration would have already applied by the time you get to the quality updates. The other key thing is that the quality updates will not impact the deployment time you will see in the report in Intune. So if user enrollment status page is not configured, quality updates will not be included in your total time you'll see in the report. For pre-provisioning mode, I'd like to clarify, UBI updates will not be offered at the end of the technician flow. They will be offered instead at the end of the user flow. And keep in mind, when you're enabling this feature, the updates can take 20 or more minutes depending on your network. So be aware of that impact to your end user experiences. I'd like to call out that UBI updates are not yet controllable through the device preparation policy. It is something that we plan to enable, but not available yet. Now, all those features I spoke about, how do they all come together and what does that end user flow look like? So first, during UBI, the user will get their prompt to provide their corporate credentials. Then, if configured, they will see the Windows backup and restore page, where they can choose the device they want to restore settings from. After, the enrollment status page will pop up and start tracking the configurations that are getting delivered during Autopilot. During this time, we'll also deliver any Windows Update for Business policies. And after enrollment status page completes, you will get the quality updates page experience. If there is an update that is required for that device, the user will see this new status page until the update is applied. Now, slightly switching gears to Windows Autopilot device preparation, I wanted to share a little bit more about how we're positioning this, who is it good for, and what are the major advantages you can get out of the Autopilot device prep solution. So Windows Autopilot device preparation is our new re-architected Autopilot solution. This is where we're focusing all new feature investments, as it is what we're seeing as the North Star cloud-native provisioning solution. We built it with 4 main priorities. We wanted to make sure it's easy to set up for any new customer. We wanted to make sure you can get the user to the desktop faster and only deliver the critical security configurations in UBI, empowering the admin to only set up a minimum set of apps in a blocking experience and let the rest deliver at the desktop. Third, we wanted to provide real-time granular reporting to simplify the troubleshooting experience. And finally, we wanted to make sure provisioning is a consistent and reliable experience. The 3 new pieces we've added here that I wanted to emphasize in this session are enrollment time grouping, granular reporting, and better workload coordination. Enrollment time grouping allows the admin to set up a device group in advance and include it as part of their device preparation policy. What happens during provisioning is that we immediately sync the policy from that group, and we make sure the device is automatically added in the group. That reduces the churn of devices switching groups during provisioning and results in a faster and more reliable setup. The second category of improvements is around reporting. We have a near real-time status granularly per app, per script for your deployment so the admin can see what the user experiences during the deployment process. And third, we've improved reliability and consistency by adopting a serialized way of delivering the configuration during provisioning. This next diagram will provide more details into how this works together end-to-end. So the first step here is all the setup that IT admin has to do in Intune. That includes setting up the device security group and the device preparation policy. You don't need to do any prep on the device itself. You can start with a vanilla image and have the OEM send the device directly to the end user. You don't need to register the device for Autopilot. All you need is a reliable network. During the UBI process, the user will provide their corporate credentials, and at that point, the device will automatically join Entra and enroll in Intune. If Windows Backup and Restore is configured, then the page will show up at that time. If not, we'll go straight to device preparation. A key change we made here is that device preparation is actually part of Intune management extension as opposed to the actual Windows OS. This was important because it allows us to have more agility in how we deliver future improvements, new features, bug fixes, and all that. After device preparation starts, we immediately check for the configuration from the device security group, the group that you've configured in the device preparation policy. Make sure the device joins that group and that the policy starts syncing immediately. And now in steps 8 through 10 is the key difference that you'll see in the architecture of device preparation. We deliver the different types of workloads in a serialized way. This avoids any conflicts because things might be installing one on top of each other. So what happens here is first we'll sync all the line of business and M365 apps. We'll sync all policies as well. When all of your LLB M365 apps are delivered, we'll move on to script installation. We'll deliver the PowerShell scripts. And then finally, we'll deliver your Win32, Winget, or Microsoft Store, and Enterprise App Catalog apps as well. At the end of the process, we have one coalesced reboot, and we are letting the user get to the desktop. The desktop is where the remaining apps and policies are delivered. Our main recommendation is keep your critical security configurations to UBI only. So keep the apps in UBI at a minimum and let the additional non-critical apps deliver the desktop. That way the user can still start using their device and they can be productive sooner. I've added here also a link to our blog. You can dive deeper there and look into more details. There are some tips on how to set up Autopilot device prep, some common issues and troubleshooting tips. So I advise you to take a look at that blog as well for more details. A question I commonly get is, what is the difference between Windows Autopilot and Windows Autopilot device preparation? And when should I use each? So Windows Autopilot is our more mature solution that has been out for longer. And as such, it supports more scenarios. It can have more customization, and it supports more different device types and enrollment flows. Autopilot device preparation, though, was optimized and made easier to set up. It does have that more consistent provisioning experience and near real-time troubleshooting information, and it's the only option that will be available for sovereign clouds. Autopilot device preparation is the best option if you're just starting on your Autopilot journey and you're looking at what to start with. Autopilot device preparation supports user-driven mode and the automatic mode, which is for cloud PCs. Windows Autopilot is where you can configure some additional modes as well as Entra joint or hybrid joint devices. With Autopilot device preparation, we'll only support Entra joint as we're no longer doing any active investments in hybrid joint. Autopilot device preparation does not require registration, unlike the traditional Windows Autopilot. And it only requires that you set up a single device preparation policy that will contain all of your deployment settings, as well as which configurations from Intune will get delivered to the device. Finally, I'd like to highlight the reporting piece. With Autopilot device preparation, you can get granular status per app, per script. You can see your status update near real time. So as soon as the device starts provisioning, the status will actually start also updating in Intune. And you have access to more data, including a convenient way to download logs if you need to. In terms of which option to choose, that depends on your needs and the scenarios your organization is focused on. If you're using hybrid entry join, generally the recommendation is, of course, move to entry join, go cloud native for all of your new OB deployments. Autopilot with entry join devices is the recommended path. Now, we do recognize that many customers are still using hybrid entry join, so that continues to be fully supported. But we do strongly recommend that you consider using only entry join through Autopilot and keep hybrid entry join just for your existing devices that you get co-managed and connected to Intune that way. If you're using user-driven flows or you're brand new to Windows Autopilot, I highly encourage you to start looking into Autopilot device preparation, start the pilot, and you can see the benefits for yourself. And then finally, if you're using pre-provisioning or self-deploying mode, remain on Windows Autopilot at this time. If you're a new customer who knows already that pre-provisioning is what you need, or you have specialized devices that do need to go through self-deploying mode, you can still use Windows Autopilot with registration. This is still fully supported option. If you do have a mix of devices, you can still use Autopilot device preparation for your user-driven devices, and then Windows Autopilot with registration flows for pre-provisioning and self-deploying modes. Finally, I wanted to give you a little bit of a sneak peek into our future plans and how we plan to evolve Windows Autopilot device preparation. We see Windows Autopilot device preparation as a comprehensive solution, which encompasses the entire set of admin and user flows and partner and OEM integrations that get the device provisioned securely and efficiently. Windows Autopilot device preparation consists of the device preparation policy, which is generally available today. The device preparation policy configures the deployment settings and Intune configurations, which will be applied during the out-of-the-box experience. It will also include device association, which is a feature that is coming soon. This is an added feature that will enhance Autopilot device preparation and enable device tenant association. This allows us to build additional features on top to optimize the out-of-the-box experience further and deliver pre-enrollment policies. Together with device association, we're also investing in some partner and OEM integrations so we can deliver jointly value to our customers. Device association is not publicly available yet, but it is something that is coming. So we'd really like to encourage you to start thinking through some of those scenarios, which of them you'll need, and start evaluating Autopilot device preparation today. What I can tell you is that device association will enable a few key functionalities. It allows associating of devices securely with your tenant to make sure that only trusted devices can enroll in your environment. It will also unblock device targeting for the device preparation policies. This is useful if you have users with multiple device types that might need different configurations because of the different use case. It will allow you to streamline the UB flow by hiding unnecessary pages and avoiding the user accidentally setting up the device as a personal device. It will also unblock renaming devices before enrollment because we'll know the device identity in advance before the user provides their credentials. That means you will avoid that extra reboot during the UB experience. Finally, it will also block bypassing Autopilot. With the streamlined flow, the user will be led through the steps in the order you intended to, and there is less room for error. With this, I'm wrapping up the Windows Autopilot section, and I'm going to hand off to my colleague Danny to talk a little bit more about app management.
All right. Thanks, Maggie. That was great. That was good information. I learned a lot that I didn't even know. So good info. All right. So let's talk about app management. So the very first thing you should be doing if you want an application or you have an existing application you want to basically bring into Intune, you should be using the Enterprise App Management Catalog. You don't need to do the old things that we used to do, where we used to look for how do we detect if the app was installed, how was the install command. We basically provide all that to you through metadata. So Enterprise App Catalog is by far the simplest way to get an application that you want into your estate. Next, Windows Store. Use a Windows Store if you just want to use a Windows Store because you're a fan. Maybe that's what you're used to. Windows Store should be your next mental model to how do I get the application. Very last thing you should be doing is wrapping applications. Please save yourself some time, heartache, and pain. I used to be exactly on the other side of this camera where I was wrapping applications, spending time, download the file, open a command prompt, figure out what the silent command install is, figure out what the detection method is, wrap it, and then figure out, hey, did that install work? Oh, it didn't work. Or make changes. I actually did a video about this a couple of years ago, and just to wrap one application, a very simple application, took about 10-15 minutes. So for a simple application, if it takes that long, don't waste that time times however many applications you got. Simplify your life. Make sure you're using Enterprise App Management, Windows Store, and again, very last, Win32 wrapping. All right, so now that we've talked about the 3 stages of Enterprise App Catalog, Windows Store, and wrapping, let's talk about a few other things. So whenever you're using applications in Intune, let's say you are transitioning from Configuration Manager to Intune, there's that slider in Configuration Manager where you can move that workload like you should be doing, moving the workload into Intune. Whenever you move that slider all the way to the right in Configuration Manager, that means Intune will own the app workload. There's something very significant about that specific workload. When you move that slider all the way to the right, the applications can be managed, aka deployed, from both Configuration Manager and Intune. So that slider is the only one that actually leaves both systems with the ability to function as the thing to deliver the applications. So definitely should be using that slider to help you transition smoother, less painful getting into Microsoft workloads into the cloud. So next, leveraging the user personas, right? Simplify your targeting. It's kind of very simple minded, but you definitely should be simplifying the deployments. So if the end user grabs another device and they need said application, said configuration, they get what they need regardless of said device that they grabs, and that which means they probably have better end user experience or better security depending on what type of policies you deploy to said device, said user. Definitely rings. You should definitely be using the ring concept. Safe deployment rollout is what you should be using. We all probably have done this before. We create small groups to make sure we know who we're getting deployed to, who's being impacted. So please make sure you continue to use those concepts of ring rollout. Other thing I'll mention is the whole delivery optimization. You should definitely be leveraging delivery optimization. For all of us, people that use SCCM and have all these multiple distribution points out there in the world, you don't even need that whenever you transition your workloads to the cloud. So as you transition your workloads to the cloud, you don't need that huge distribution infrastructure because delivery optimization actually takes care of that for you. It's very odd if we ever hear a customer complain about bandwidth when they're leveraging delivery optimization. It just goes away. It's not an issue. So definitely explore it. And also, last but not least, related to the slide, at least limiting the applications that you actually install during provisioning. I think Maggie mentioned it earlier in her slides. Try not to bog down your provisioning process by installing 20, 30 applications just because it's nice to have. Like, make sure that there's a logical reason for that. The more you increase that, the more you're just creating complexity and work that you got to go troubleshoot if something goes bad. So make sure that you're limiting to only the bare necessities or the absolute needed things whenever you're doing provisioning and deploying apps during the provisioning process. Application package migration. So Microsoft recommends a greenfield approach, obviously. Definitely take the time to do some spring cleaning. This, if anybody's an old person like me managing device management products, definitely do not go junk in, junk out. Don't think of a tool. Don't try to find a tool that will just move everything from A to B. As I want to say, as painful as it may be, you definitely should do the spring cleaning. What you're going to realize is that the 550 apps or 5,000 apps that you have in some other system, you probably don't need them all in Intune. There's probably package applications that were probably there before you even started there, or somebody's worked there, and you don't even deploy those applications anymore. A lot of times our environments get junky with stuff that we don't go clean up. So definitely take the opportunity when you're going through that migration from one to the other to take the opportunity to clean up. Again, going back to what I mentioned in the previous slide, EAM in the Microsoft Store will definitely ease that transition. You should, again, a part of that spring cleaning, again, hey, I got these applications. Hey, first thing you should check is, are they in Enterprise App Manager? Are they in Windows Store? Do not knee jerk to just going to package the applications. You're going to just waste too much time. And if you still need to migrate certain applications, we do have partners that you can work with to migrate those applications and make things a little bit smoother. A little bit about EAM that I mentioned earlier. I said we'd get back to. Get new applications from Enterprise App Management. The catalog has roughly 930 supported products today. We also provide an SLO, which is great. Provide 24-hour SLO for app updates, as well as your app updates can be used by using guided upgrade through the Enterprise App Catalog. One of the things that we introduced with Enterprise App Management recently is the ability to install an application using a script. So a lot of times customers like yourselves will need to install an application, but you may have a very strict process around how you want to install those applications, thinking maybe some pre and post actions that you may want to do. So you can take care of those things that you need to do using the script install method. All right. Thanks, everybody. I know I learned a lot from the session. Definitely listening to Maggie about the provisioning. Hopefully you learned a lot about applications. And if you have more questions, I'm totally easily reachable. I'm sure Maggie is too. But thank you. And Maggie.
Hope this was useful for you as well. Thank you.